Hi everyone, it's Don and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Well, you all know I'm a pretty staunch defender of the cruise lines, but I do call them out when I think they're doing something wrong, and I gotta call them out right now. So first off, a couple stories we are hearing. We had Disney Cruise Line turned away. We had MSC Cruise Line turned away. There's a lot of cruises that are being turned away from ports. I think the Azamara has a ship out there. Then it's been at sea for 5 straight days because they cannot find a port to land in. And a lot of this is not necessarily the amount of people who test positive on the cruise ship. It's how many they also have in isolation because of the close contacts. I know numerous people now that are close contacts with people who have tested positive, and they're in isolation. They say they're so far, I heard from people on Azamara, I heard from people on Celebrity, I heard from people on Royal, and so far they're saying they were treated very well. Their room service and everything like that, the captains are keeping them up to date. So good job by the cruise lines doing that, because that's a lot of the frustration, right? If you're getting food to your stateroom that you didn't order and it's cooked poorly and you can't reach anybody on the phone, or you're not being updated by the captain or the medical staff what's going on and what the procedures are and when are you going to get tested again, it can be very frustrating when you're on board. But so far I've heard mostly good things from majority of the cruise lines. There's a couple out there that I am checking into some stories, but some people didn't have a very good time. So yes, is it risky to sail right now? Absolutely, because of the reactions from the cities, because of the protocols in place, because of the actual spread of the virus. And a lot of people are going and saying, well, is it, the cruise ships are, look, it's happening there. Well, guess what? We have, I'm part of a travel agency, and I have been following all of my travel partners here in the company, and a lot of them do the Mexico and the Jamaica, resorts, and they're sending people here and there. And they have clients all over the place who are now in isolation, who have all tested positive. One resort itself had 47 people test positive. Another 180 close contacts are in isolation. That's at one resort in Mexico. So do you think it's just cruise ships? No, it's happening everywhere, folks. It's just part of life right now. This virus just spreads by like this. It's almost like if you high-five somebody, you caught the virus. Are you necessarily sick? No. Are you necessarily going to the hospital? No. Is the reaction probably most likely a cold symptom? So far, so good. Even in the UK, where the virus spread rapidly through the UK, they're now going, yeah, there's huge evidence that this virus variant is much less dangerous, much less severe, and there's no need for further restrictions. In fact, they're talking now about easing restrictions already in the UK. That's a good sign for everybody out there. And the same thing is happening in Africa. So yes, this is the initial segment. But then I said to myself, to you guys at the beginning of this video, that I have a bone to pick with the cruise lines, and I'm going to tell you what that bone is. As soon as you maybe hit that subscribe button if you want to be up to date with all things cruising. Find out if the cruises are continuing. Is the CDC going to shut them down? What ports are not letting cruise ships in? What ports are not going to open like they said they were going to do? Just hit that subscribe button with the notification bell on. You'll be up to date. Doesn't cost anything. Really does help the channel out, and I'd really appreciate it. Okay, enough stalling, Don. Here we go. What did the cruise lines do? Well, first of all, most likely you saw on the news or in pictures, you see celebrations around the United States of New Year's Eve with huge crowds. You saw Disney World was just packed in front of the castle. In fact, they had to shut down Disney because they reached their capacity and they wouldn't let anybody else in. It was just jammed shoulder to shoulder. A lot of people will say, yeah, but that's not indoors. That's outdoors. It's a different story, right? Well, okay, let's also take that into effect. On the cruise ships, they have huge decks up above. But what I'm hearing and I'm seeing from the photos and the accounts from people who are emailing me is that they held their New Year's celebration in the piazza, in the atrium, in the promenade, indoors. So if you're on a ship with like 4,000 passengers and you're all in the promenade together celebrating New Year's, it sounds like a great idea. It sounds like a great party, really does. But why would you not hold that up on the top decks, especially if the weather is in the Caribbean? Why would you not open it up on the upper decks? Why would you not just light up the pool area and the top decks and just have your party with the live band up there? Yes, it's really hard to do a balloon drop on the top deck. You can't do it because the balloons might blow overboard. You don't want to do that. That would contaminate the ocean. You don't want to do stuff like that. But who cares? You still have the countdown. You still have the party. You still have the celebration. But holding it indoors was just asking for trouble. You're just asking if there's anybody who happens to be on board who has it, is now shoulder to shoulder with somebody to spread it around. And you asked for it by doing the celebration indoors. I don't know why you would not have moved it if it's possible outdoors. And people were saying, this is not from, oh, well, it was bad weather. No, no. People were saying 80-degree temperature, beautiful moonlit sky. Why was the celebration not outside on the decks? Because now you run the risk of those headlines again that the media loves to run with. And in this case, it could be caused simply by the way you celebrated New Year's on your ship. Instead of moving it to a bright, open area where people can space out a little bit and the fresh air mitigates any possible spread, you held it indoors in a crowded area with thousands of people. Or even hundreds of people. It doesn't matter, because if there's only hundreds, chances are it's a smaller ship in a smaller area, so it comes to the same effect. I don't think that was a very bright idea. I don't know why you did it. Why would you not think ahead and say, hey, maybe having 3,000 people in the promenade or the atrium or 1,000 people in the piazza, maybe it's not a good idea. Maybe we should move it someplace else. Maybe. But now it's too late because you've done it. And I hope there's not a big, huge ramifications from doing that, where you have headlines saying hundreds of people test positive after celebrating New Year's Eve on a cruise ship. Because they're looking for those headlines, and you might have just fed that fuel. You might have just fed that fuel. I don't understand. And I love cruising. And this still boggled my mind. If it's raining, different story. If it's cold, windy, different story. But in a lot of these cases, it was perfectly fine. Again, there you go. That's the bone I have to pick with the cruise lines this holiday season so far. It just doesn't seem to make sense in a lot of cases. Well, I hope you appreciate this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Want to see more tips, more tricks, more travel vlogs from around the world? Hit that subscribe button. Until next time, have yourself a safe and a great vacation.